He had broken the show business rules. It's just a rule, the rules of perception. If they're black, then it's a gang. If they're Italian, it's a mob. But if they're Jewish, it's a coincidence, and he should never speak about it.
I absolutely love what Dave Chappelle is doing right there, because he's taking something that society says we're not supposed to talk about, but he's talking about it in the only way that we really can talk about it is through comedy. And so he did that, and he got this response right here coming from those that we don't speak of or mention or say anything bad about. Jonathan Greenblatt, the head of the Jewish Civil Rights Organization, tweeted in response to Dave Chappelle saying that we shouldn't expect Dave Chappelle to serve as society's moral compass, but disturbing to see that NBC and SNL not just normalizing, but popularizing anti-Semitism. Why are Jewish sensitivities denied or diminished at almost every turn? Why does our trauma trigger applause? Okay, now this response itself proves Dave Chappelle's joke. The mere fact that don't nobody want to say anything about and I don't even want to say the word, because like Dave Chappelle said, you're not supposed to say those two words. So I'll let Dave Chappelle say it.
And early in my career, I learned that there are two words in the English language that you should never say together in sequence. And those words are the and Jews.
That's right. Everybody is scared to say something about
the Jews.
And then when Kanye West said it and Kyrie Irving barely said anything, look at what happened to them. And that's proving Dave Chappelle's joke. And that in no way, shape, or form denies atrocities that has happened to Jewish people. Jewish rights activist Rudy Rockman called the SNL skit a meticulous and calculated move to desensitize the population from anti-Semitism. That Dave Chappelle SNL monologue probably did more to normalize anti-Semitism than anything Kanye said. Now, the bit of truth in that I do agree with, there was some normalizing happening, but what it did is it basically normalized Jewish people at the level of everybody else, to where everybody else can be criticized and laughed at, and we can make jokes about it. We can make jokes about how successful Jewish people are. We can make jokes about how they run a lot. And this is American capitalism. They've won the game of capitalism. That is technically a good thing. They have a lot of power. Yes, they control a lot of aspects of Hollywood. Yes, they also have a lot of Nobel Prize winners in medicine and things that help and benefit everybody. They're smart people. They're a culture that produces people who succeed. They have an excellent culture in that sense. So they're winners. But they call it anti-Semitism if you acknowledge that they're winning. It's like they've won the Success Olympics and the Victim Olympics. That's our stuff. Can't take being a victim away from us. Black people are running that Victim Olympics race, and the guy, let us have something. But no, in all seriousness, it's worth acknowledging the simple fact that, yes, they have a lot of control, power, and influence, and nothing can be said about them. And all of that stuff, it gets called anti-Semitism. And then now what Dave Chappelle just did, it normalized it. It brought it home. When Dave Chappelle says it, it's okay now. Everybody could talk about it. That's what more or less happened with the trans community, the LGBTQ community. That's why they had a problem with him, because through comedy, he put it out there to where now we're all going to just have the conversation about it, and nobody's going to be anti anything for just pointing out some things that are true, that are funny, that happen to line up with this and line up with that. And in the midst of all of this, I'm not hearing any hate. I'm not seeing any hate. I'm not seeing anybody being hurt or harmed. I'm seeing people just having a normal conversation. So
Kanye got in so much trouble, Kyrie got in trouble. The list of demands to get back in their good graces got longer and longer, and this is where, I draw the line.
Kyrie Irving's list of demands was every bit as obsessive as when Randy Marsh had to literally kiss the butt of Jesse Jackson when he slipped up and said the N-word on Wheel of Fortune during an episode of South Park. Now, if anybody is keeping score at home, Dave Chappelle, while explaining all these jokes on Saturday Night Live, I do believe he was able to say the N-word unbleeped out. It's certainly not bleeped out on YouTube. Meanwhile, content creators on YouTube hesitate to even talk about that event that happened that some people, I would say, foolishly deny. But I don't even want to say the word of it because I don't want to trigger the algorithm too bad and get certain people watching. You see the difference here? You see the difference here? The mere fact that people know that they run the risk at losing it all when it comes to certain criticisms, even if the criticism isn't that bad, it could be just an acknowledgement of the truth. But the mere fact that the risk of losing it all is on the table, not an incorrect statement when somebody mentions that, yeah, they have a lot of power and they control and run a lot. Or like Dave Chappelle said in the skit,
You could maybe adopt the delusion that the Jews run show business. It's not a crazy thing to think, but it's a crazy thing to say out loud in a climate like this.
but he's deflating that balloon of saying anything about them is anti-them by putting it in the form of a joke and making everybody digest it, and they have a serious problem with that. Big ups to Dave Chappelle for standing right on that line of the culture, the things that we're not supposed to talk about, but using his comedic talent to just push us over that line to where now real conversations could be had. So good on Dave Chappelle. Once said the Key and Peele show was funnier than the Dave Chappelle show, and everybody in my chat room fought me. Y'all can fight me in the comment sections on that. I still hold that position, but Dave Chappelle, I'm understanding more and more why people calling him the GOAT. Definitely, Dave Chappelle is a man. But with that said, we are out of here. Peace. We go.